924 here on the Big 550 KTRS. Jane Dueker is with us, KTRS correspondent, friend of the show. She was on Monday talking about Medicaid expansion, but in your day job, you're a lawyer for Stinson, Morrison, Hecker, and Rabinowitz.
Well, just Stinson, Morrison, Hecker's fine.
Okay. You forget all the other owners.
I am one.
You are involved in running in charge of this lawsuit, or you're the lawyer, filed a lawsuit for a resident in Ellisville, correct?
Correct. And what it is, well, you've been hearing a lot about the impeachment,
right?
Which, is related. But, yes, I represent Tom DeBold, who is a citizen of Ellisville, who is actually challenging the issuance of the conditional use permit for the Walmart project in Ellisville.
Who is Tom DeBold?
He's a citizen of Ellisville.
Okay, and he's questioning
the legality, yes.
The what is this permit you speak of?
Well, a conditional use permit just really basically allows the city to change the use that's already designated for that area for a different use. And so it's not really that complicated, but there are certain criteria that you have to meet in order to get that done and get the permit. And
he lives in the apartment complex in which they want to demolish.
He's an adjoining landowner. There are a lot of interested parties, not just the people whose homes who are going to be displaced,
right,
but the people who live by the project who get to walk out their back door and have a 5.5-story, building and wall in their backyard.
Right.
That would be a Walmart.
So if I want to open up any store, you have to go to City Hall and get a permit to open up the store, whether it's a.
Well, this is more of in the line of zoning where, the use is not necessarily allowed by the current zoning, and so you need to get a conditional use.
Gotcha.
so that you can do something. Because this proposed Walmart is probably 3 times bigger than anything that's been approved in the city of Ellisville.
Okay, good. That's where we are with this use permit.
Yes.
I thought the judge threw this case out weeks ago.
Well, what he did, and that's sort of what's been going on, is he initially issued an order that upheld the permit. But then shortly thereafter, he allowed plaintiffs, us, to conduct more discovery on the legality of this permit and how it was issued.
Okay.
And then just sort of abruptly cut that off on Thursday and issued a final order and upheld the permit again, even despite the fact that we uncovered a lot of significant evidence.
Okay, so the judge threw it out but allowed you to discover and to sort of ask questions and find out if there was.
Do depositions, get documents, and determine. And obviously, our whole goal has been to uncover all the facts that indicate whether this permit was properly issued in the first place.
And then Thursday, just out of nowhere, did anybody?
Basically.
So he just decided, woke up Thursday and said, "Nope, we're done."
Well, we had been in court, and Sansone's lawyers, who are representing the city,
right,
have been fighting our efforts to get
Sansone being the developer,
correct,
of the project, but they're also representing the city,
right, which is a whole nother goofy story on how that happened, which we've found out. And so they have been complaining, and so the judge asked us for a list of what other evidence we wanted to go ahead and acquire, and then precipitously issued an order saying, well, this is what they would want to go get, but I'm going to go ahead and uphold the permit.
So that lawsuit is now thrown out. Are you going to appeal?
It's not thrown out. I mean, he found in favor of the city, so now we'll go to the Court of Appeals and have the Court of Appeals review it.
Okay, so are you going to do this today, tomorrow?
Soon, very soon.
Very soon, okay.
Very soon.
Now, and then the Court of Appeals, is that, we're not lawyers, is that the next level up?
That's the next level up on appeal, correct.
Is it a city, a county, a state, a federal?
It's a state court. It's a state appeals court.
State appeals court.
Correct.
Okay. What have you learned? What are you going to go into court with to say this conditional use permit was given incorrectly?
We have a number of legal bases, but the one that we have been focusing on during discovery was when we initially got the administrative record, all the documents the city relied on to grant the permit initially. One of the first requirements of a conditional use permit is that everybody who owns property in the proposed area has to agree. If you're not the owner of the property, you're the developer like Sansone, then all the owners have to agree that you're allowed to go in and change the use of the property, because Sansone doesn't want to buy all the property until they know this project's going to go through. Right. So they have contracts with these people. And so, but these people have to agree to say, yes, you can go in and file that permit regarding our property because we consent. Well, we found out at the trial of this matter that there were 2 parcels of property for which Sansone or Walmart did not get consent. And we had the clerk on the stand, and she indicated, and we went through the ordinances, and she said that if all the consents weren't there, that the permit should have been denied. And then we went through and found out that the common ground for the apartment complex that's in the area that's going to be developed, that the trustees had never consented and had never filed an affidavit with the city saying, we will allow the developer to go in on our behalf and apply for this permit. So we have been trying to discover evidence about how city officials knew that and nonetheless pushed this permit through.
So you're saying to me that 2 parcels of land have not given their consent for this permit?
Correct.
So if somebody wants to open up a liquor store next to me, I have to consent in a sense.
No, only if it's your property. This isn't just some adjoining person. It's the property that they need to acquire. It's in the middle of the proposed site. They have to have this property or they can't build the Walmart.
Right. And the person who owns that has not given their consent.
Right. It's the trustees for the apartment complex, the common ground. There's 2 pieces of parcels that are owned.
And I'm assuming these trustees don't want to give their consent.
I don't know. And that's what's really interesting is Sansone never asked them. They never attempted to secure their consent.
Right.
And that's what we found out in discovery. And so the shocking part was, well, first we found out at trial that it should have been denied. Their own clerk said that we've denied permits on this basis. Okay. So it wasn't denied. It should have been thrown out initially. Then it went through planning and zoning, and that's a whole other story that we found out. And then it went to the council. And, it's our belief, we've already determined now that the Planning and Zoning Commission, they knew that the consents weren't there, and they nonetheless went through with it. And so now we've determined that everyone knew.
So your allegation is that the Ellisville City Council knew they didn't have all of the consents.
At least planning and zoning. We were cut off before we could find out what the council knew.
So they still don't have consents of these two parcels.
And they've not even tried to correct it since, we had the trial in this matter.
Is Tom Diebold one of the trustees of these?
No.
He's not. He's just a citizen questioning
Correct.
the issuance of this permit.
Correct.
Gotcha. That's Jane Dueker. She's with Stinson, Morrison, and Hecker, and she's our correspondent, but she's also the lead counsel for this lawsuit. Is that fair enough to say? Hold that thought. We're going to come back and talk more with you. Ellisville City Council, she is alleging, did not do all the proper paperwork for this Ellisville Walmart TIF. They haven't started building.
No, they haven't even bought the property yet.
They haven't even bought the property yet. So
no.
Can they? I mean,
yes. Nothing is That's what's really interesting about this is nothing is stopping them. But I think obviously they must be worried, or they'd buy the property and get going. That
is Jane Dueker. We'll take more phone call, or take a couple phone calls and a couple questions. More with that here in a moment on the Big 550 KTRS. Got a text message earlier today from Johnny Londoff Chevrolet. Holy